Now with me in the studio is Professor Anthony Kila, Professor of Strategy and Development and Institute Director at the Commonwealth Institute of Advanced and Professional Studies. Now, Professor Kila, good to see you.
Good to be here.
Mr. Ologun says he's in traffic. He will be here. Yeah. Our second guest says he's in traffic. He will be here. Lagos is a very interesting place. Even on Sundays.
I blame you for the traffic
of
Lagos.
Traffic. Why me?
Well, I must blame somebody.
Okay, blame the weather.
Okay, blame the weather. Yes.
Or blame the government. But we've had Dr. Muda Yusuf, who is Director General of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, talking about the likely impact of President Trump's tariffs, ranging from 10% to 41%. Syria having the highest with 41%, Switzerland 39%, South Africa 30%, countries in Africa, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, South Africa getting most of it, other countries in Africa, 18 of them getting 15%. So our conversation started around that. What will be the impact on Africa? What should African countries do? What options are available to them? Can they still cut deals during the G20 summit in South Africa in September? We also talked about President Tinubu's reforms. How effective is that with some stakeholders in Nigeria saying, well, they can't see the impact of the reforms. We also talked about debt sustainability. Nigeria borrowing more. And then we talked about, okay, revenue, because he was saying, we are getting more revenue. We talked about customs. Yes. President Tinubu extending the tenure of Mr. Wale Adeniyi, the Controller General of Customs. And he was saying, well, the man is doing a lot of innovation and he's even been recognized globally as the leader of World Customs.
The chairman of the World Customs.
Yes, of course.
He was elected globally for that.
Yeah, so, and that, look, the world has recognized him. Nigeria cannot throw him away.
Yes.
A man that has received international. So those were the major planks of our conversation.
Well, let me start from where you stopped. Let's take away this custom thing straight away. I think because the custom is generally not popular, and I want the custom people to hear about that. People have not seen the importance and the gravity of the administration of this Adeniyi man. I think he's done well because I have taken time, like Dr. Yusuf, when you look at revenue and fiscal policy in Nigeria, you tend to keep an eye on what custom is doing. He has brought innovation, he has brought investment in human capital development, and he has brought technology, which is a good thing. And I think politically, it will also be strange if after he was elected a few months ago in a world stage, that would then remove him. That does not look very well. I think it is good that they've extended his tenure for a very simple reason, because if you do extraordinarily well, and I think he has done extraordinarily well, compared to many who were there before him, it is good to recognize people who do very well rather than spend time on criticizing just who do not do well. And, in careers, one of the best recognition you can give people is to extend their tenure. So to that extent, I think it's a good thing that the Comptroller General's tenure has been extended, but he should take that as, to do better, because now people will be wondering why the exception. He needs to prove the exception now, why he's gotten that. But, I wish him all the very best. I'm very fascinated by what Dr. Yusuf brought to the table today, the component of income of a country. He pointed out something that I've been trying, and my students will know this, I've been trying to show in the classrooms. The difference between overall GDP and revenue itself is a very crucial thing. Because when we throw GDP out there, we need to see within that how much of it is actually turned revenue for government. The predominance of our informal sector shows that we have the composition of our GDP. A lot of it is in an area that does not generate revenue for government. Let's be careful. It generates revenues for families and other entities, but not for government. It is outside our tax. It's another conversation, and I don't want somebody to wake up now. I think of particularly Zach of the Inland Revenue to start thinking of how to tax more businesses. That is not the solution. The solution is to understand the peculiarity of our component of GDP and perhaps think in more revolutionary way of making more people pay and paying less. That's what will generate revenue. But still in terms of revenue, because of the economic structure of Nigerian system, of our ecosystem overall, where we consume a lot more than we produce, it is difficult for us to generate enough revenue to sustain the debt we're having in the way we are contracting this debt. And I say this as somebody, I'm not against debt. I'm not afraid of debt. Generally, people are against debt because of some moral background. The idea that, be neither, I've said this many times, there's an archaic thing in our mind from Shakespeare that says, be neither a lender nor a borrower. But I repeat, Shakespeare was neither an economist nor a financial expert. Those are moral, commonsensical issues that does not work in big finance. The problem we have with our debt are twofold. Number one is that when we take debt in Nigeria as a government, the government does not show the people that I am taking 10 naira that will generate 15 naira. That is the major problem. We just take debt. Even if we say we're doing things, we're not showing how that debt will be paid for. Until we develop that culture, we're going to be in problem. The other part of the debt is that when we use so much to service it, it's still going to generate problem. So we need to create a total new debt culture on how we manage it. Because in reality, we don't have enough. When we talk about revenue, what is missing, I believe, in the whole of the Tinubu-nomics, the Tinubu economics and reform is that the managers of our economy in the last 2 years have not been seen to be thinking outside the box of how to generate revenue outside tax and outside borrowing. That is a concern I have that people are not talking about. I would like our economic managers to think of generating revenues outside those two pillars, tax and borrowing. We need to think of privatization. We need to think of partnership, public-private partnership. We need to think of quoting some of our assets that will generate wealth for us, even if we don't sell them out totally. We need to think of leasing some of the things we have that will generate some things that we have. There's no reason, people are talking about the NNPC, there's no reason why some of our assets are not quoted in world markets that will be generating revenues for us. There's no reason why, for example, some of the roads we are building cannot be done on a build, operate, and transfer basis. Cannot say to people, we need things. So if it's hospitals we need, if it's roads we need, if it's railways we need, anything we need, instead of government thinking of generating money to build all these things, my argument is that we can actually look for a way to say, okay, we need roads, let's put an advert out and say, let people come and build this road for us, government doesn't pay, and we'll see what concession we can give them. That would reduce our debt, almost take us away from debt, but it will allow us to get what we want.
Okay, thank you, Professor Anthony Kila. I understand that Mr. Jide Ologun just arrived, and I would like to take his thoughts. If Mr. Jide Ologun could just come into the studio, we'll take a break to allow him to settle in, and then we'll have his thoughts on the submissions of our first guys. We'll take a short break now, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to This Day Live, a Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Now we have Mr. Jide Ologun joining us. Mr. Jide Ologun is a legal practitioner, national development advocate, and fellow, Institute of Leadership Coaching and Strategy. Mr. Jide Ologun, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
I said earlier that there was traffic on Third Mainland Bridge, but thank you for joining us. I would like you to respond after Professor Anthony Kila to the contributions of Dr. Muda Yusuf to the issues of Trump tariffs, their sustainability, Tinubu's economic reforms, and then, customs, the Controller General, whose tenure has been extended by 1 year.
Thank you very much. Let me start from Mr. Adeniyi's tenure as the Controller General of Customs. The President has the prerogative to extend his stay in office, which he has done. And he's been commended for bringing innovations to the Nigerian Customs Service. And obviously, that cannot be faulted, just like what we have in the Ministry of Interior, where the minister has introduced a lot of vibrant innovations towards ease of doing business. But having said that, I also want us to look at the effect of these transformative initiatives on business itself. But because for those of us who are on the field, the impact is a bit negative on importing goods into this country, particularly with the interface with customs at the port. In fact,
you are on the field.
Yes, I am.
Are you an importer?
We are researchers.
Are you an agent?
we deal with them, and we monitor what their experiences are. And all you even need to do, for instance, is send a delegate to a place called the spare parts market in Oshodi. You realize Ladipo. Thank you very much. Some people have even changed their lines of business because of the bottlenecks of bringing products into the country, and again, the cost. So that ties with the economic policies, the inflation and everything. And I think that should be looked into. But by and large, the Comptroller General is doing well within the confines of that profession. But the government needs to look at the bigger picture on reactivating the business environment. And like Dr. Muda mentioned, the government is moving in that direction. It won't be an easy assignment, but let it be on the front burner. Recently, the United States, through the embassy in Nigeria, came up with a comment that our governors live flamboyantly while some citizens are in poverty, and someone said they should mind their business. I don't think they should mind their business. So what we should be asking is that, is it a lie that is coming from that environment? And it is not a lie. Some of us have said it, that when the president brilliantly removed the subsidy, many Nigerians thought the revenue that we accrue to the government from the removal of subsidy would have been engaged in bringing down the cost of living for the people. But that hasn't been the case, except for the fact that we have read reports that governors now have more resources coming from federal allocation. So we need to look at that, basically. And on the Trump tariff war, I think for now he is winning, because some countries are negotiating. One would have thought that Mexico would have been so tough-headed, but by and large, he has even extended.
We have 90 days.
Exactly. So Trump is engaging the strong position of America. But there is a caveat there. Other countries also are forming their own trade alliances. For instance, China, that has not been approaching the trumpet entry style, is encroaching into many countries of the world, even bringing investments into infrastructure and everything, offering juicy trade partnership, to those countries. And Trump is aware of it. That is why recently he invited some African leaders. For instance, Nigeria also is looking at that, partnering with BRICS and things like that. So eventually, the strong empire status of America may give way to another superpower, a space that China is fast occupying. And the lesson for Nigeria is that at a time, Chinese products are like untouchable products. I don't touch them. Is it China? No. But China went on isolationism, developed domestic capacity, and now is playing big at the global arena. So I think Nigeria should wake up. I have said it. When Trump started these tariff battles, Singapore sat the leadership there that, hey, we are not doing badly now. And that is the truth. From 1965, when Singapore left Malaysia as a country with little resources, that country has succeeded in becoming one of the best countries to live and work in the world. And what they are saying, we are strong now, but these tariff battles may really hit us. What do we do? And that is called strategic engagement of the future.
But the difference between Singapore and Nigeria is leadership.
That's what I just mentioned now. I said the leadership. They are
that they have in
strategic,
Singapore.
they are futuristic, and they're already seeing into the future that, hey, what is there for us? What do we need to recalibrate to ensure that the external shock won't hit us? But here in Nigeria, we need to wake up and ask the big questions. All the borrowings, what do we use them for? There was a time Chief Olusegun Obasanjo paid up a chunk of our indebtedness. And I recall that around March 2015, the total indebtedness of Nigeria was 12.12 trillion naira. People were shouting, hey, 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 hey. But today, it's in the threshold of about 200 trillion naira. So who is going to repay? What is the tenure of repayment? Where are we going then? Where are we even channeling this borrowing into? And let me.
People wearing ties and bow ties will pay because I didn't subscribe to it.
and I think that is why somebody said that all this revenue desperation is impacting the generality of the citizens negatively.
Of course.
Because it's not giving breathing space.
It's lazy, it's not creative. Let us call it what it is. Our source of revenue is shallow, is lazy, is archaic. We need innovators that can think outside the box rather than going for tax and borrowing alone. That thing is overdue. But I'll let you speak more about Mr. Jide Ologun, because when you said Trump is winning, but you said the empire is giving way, I'm a bit lost with that thing. Let us say Trump's victory that will lead to the loss of American empire.
Maybe for Nigeria, our exposure is not in the danger domain. But for some countries.
No, for Trump himself, for America.
For Trump, that is the nature of Trump. Trump is bringing people to negotiate, countries to negotiate. He's using the power of America.
I think you're missing one part. While some people are negotiating with him, new alliances are being formed.
I mentioned that.
But that shows he's not winning.
For him, he's winning.
Oh, for him, okay.
Exactly.
So that's like
for him, he's winning.
What the analysts are saying is that in the long run, inflation will go up in the United States.
Exactly.
Of course.
Prices will go up, and that Trump may not win in the end. And that at the end of the day, Trump may in fact have lost the superior position of the United States in international trade.
This is what I say.
I am willing to stake my name that he will lose.
And what he has achieved so far
is
is to cause chaos, confusion,
unnecessary chaos,
and to upend global trade.
Doctor, in a war,
he has weakened the American brand. America used to be the capital of finance in the world, the safest currency. Now, because of, you see, and this is one thing we should learn offshore, outside America. The process of a country determines the capital brand of that country. When you have a country that acts haphazardly, that does not show a firm, clear line of thought, in a world of globalization, when all of a sudden you become insular, and your process defies certainty, investors take note. Even if you change policy, it shows the world that you're not as reliable as you are. So this things have consequences.
What we have seen is that despite Trump's exactions, Wall Street is doing very well. S&P 500 is stable. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is doing well. The Nasdaq Composite is okay. Asian stocks are mixed, but generally, investors seem to think that, Trump's tariffs will not have any
even those in the agro sector,
effect.
They've approached him that we are losing some of our workers because of this immigrant battle again. But in a war, there are battles. Just like when Hamas decided to touch Israel unprovoked, they won that battle. But when Israel rose up to fire back, and that's the point I'm making. Right now, Trump is trumping, but some alliances are being formed across the world. In fact, targeting the power of dollars, that eventually some nations may come together, form their trade alliances, and push America.
So in other words, Trump is like somebody who set fires in his house, and he looks at it to say, "Look at fire! I wanted fire. I am winning."
He doesn't
then after
see,
the house burns
he does not even see
he
it like
realizes that.
Prof, you must have been monitoring Trump from the days of Apprentice.
Gentlemen.
Even before coming to the White House.
That's when I knew it was dangerous.
Mr. Ologun, I like that your expression. Trump is trumping.
Yeah.
I'll borrow that. Maybe I'll use it, another time, another forum. We take a short break now. Here on This Live, the Sunday Talk Show. When we return, we'll have Professor Pat Utomi, whom we have been expecting on this program for a while. We'll be right back. Stay with us. So I'll now come back to the studio very quickly for our panelists on duty today to respond briefly to Professor Pat Utomi's submissions, which I think are already self-explanatory. They're your inputs, gentlemen. Let me start with you, Mr. Ologun.
I was flowing in that direction before Prof came in, particularly in the area of importation into the country. And in the practical sense of it, it's not what it used to be. Some businesses have shut down. So we need to look at that, not just the fact that revenue is coming in. Recently, the president himself was addressing some governors and telling them that people are complaining under you. Do we now look at how these revenues are channeled to where they must manifest into transformation and find out how many governors also have the mentality of serving the people? By now, we should have steady energy in the country to help the manufacturers. We should be focusing on reviving and sustaining the health sector, basic amenities that will make life meaningful for the citizens, because obviously we have increased revenue. We have not even started the full implementation of the tax reforms. When that one comes now, what do you do with the money is very important. And on the spirit of Africa, you say, I want to say to Ivory Coast that they may come to Nigeria to learn how the Nigerian National Assembly stopped the third-term agenda. I think we have achieved that in Nigeria, but in some other parts of the world, the same people who complained about bad governance, they come into office and they refuse to step out of office because they have weakened the participatory aspect of democracy. But I say this, they also have cabinets. They have parliamentarians who support them in that project. And we need to redefine the culture of leadership in Africa. The leadership is not such that you cannot make leaders accountable. But again, those who are around the leader and are benefiting so much create such a force to resist the advocacy for positive change. So I hope, I've said it before, I did a research and discovered that about 40% of the resources of the world are domiciled in Africa. And Africa is just about 1.5 billion of about 8.2 billion of the total population of the world. So what have we done with those resources? And that was when I asked the question, is there a palace in Ghana that is adorned with gold, like Buckingham Palace in the UK? And yet they have coal in UK, not gold. Look, what have we done with our oil and gas resources in Nigeria? What has happened to our refineries? So these are questions we keep asking. But in public relations, we learned about enculturation. So Prof is very apt on saying that the Europeans came, saw the huge potential, and encultured us not to value what we have so that they can mobilize it to develop their own regions. So if we can succeed in having a reverse order, it will be of great benefit to Africa.
Okay, thank you. Professor Kila?
Well, I think, overall, Professor Utomi touched three areas. One is the economic side, leadership in general, and the partisan issue in the country. In terms of the economy, I think we're very much on the same page. There's a slight difference, contrary to what people might think about Utomi. He's actually more, I think, to the left than I am. He's more, he puts what we say in the context of helping the people, of making sure the welfare system is available. I believe Nigeria is in a trajectory at the moment, in a phase where our policies should be to ensure production. In the sense that rather than think of how to slice the cake, we should be thinking of making the oven bigger. We cannot have the light that you're talking about, electricity, because we have not had a government who has said to itself, to ensure that we're able to produce, let us make sure electricity is available for the producers in certain areas. Maybe not even the whole of Nigeria. Let us select some industrial areas where things are produced and say, we ensure that they have electricity there. The government is not thinking that way. In terms of our debt, the government is not thinking, rather than borrowing money and raising tax, let us look for ways to pay for roads, hospitals, and schools without more debt. And part of the example we've cited, and Professor Tomi has cited again, we need to private partnership, private-public partnership. We need to build, operate, and transfer. We need to invite people in to invest their money and get their money back. It's a leadership problem, and the leadership problem is a failure in part of those who are in public leadership, private leadership, and let me bring another constituency, the academia as well. I believe that we're at a point now where our faculties of history, political science, management, we need to start thinking, why do we have this problem of leadership in Africa, and what can we propose? What is the solution to this sit-down tight syndrome, where people don't want to leave the power? I will look forward to essays and solutions that suggest the status of African leaders after office. Let us look at what we can offer them so that they can have a life outside our office. We need to think of creating a society where the most important person is not the president or governor. Because if the most important president is the person at all time, is the president, people will not want to stop being president. If the most important person in the state is the governor at all time, everybody will want to be governor. I believe we need to create a society that recognizes diversity of achievement, that recognize different things. So we can have the most famous photographer, so that we can understand who's the most respected lawyer, who's the most respected carpenter, and let them have equal respect in the society like the governor. So people don't want to be governors. Everybody wants to be governor. Everybody wants to be president. And if people become president, don't want to stop being president, because that is the best thing you can become. And I think we need this kind of reorientation that you advocate.
Okay, thank you. Let's take another subject after responding to our panelists. Let's talk about the Super Falcons, for example. Following their triumph at the just concluded 2024 Women African Cup of Nations Championship in Morocco, the 24 players and 11 technical crew of Nigeria's Super Falcons were last Monday hosted to a grand reception in Abuja by President Bola Tinubu, his wife, and state governors. The president rewarded the team with a combined cash prize of 4,602 million naira, making up in dollar terms $100,000 each for the players and $50,000 each for the technical crew, although that of the manager of the team, Just Magudu, has also been increased to $100,000. In addition to the honor that he also received from the Adamawa State Governor, and then all of them have been given national honor of Officer of the Order of the Niger and 3-bedroom each for players and the crew. The players and officials were also given the sum of 350 million naira by the Nigerian Governors Forum. Nigeria won the WAFCON title for a record-extending 10th time last Saturday after coming back from 2 goals down to beat host Morocco 3-2 in the final at Rabat's Olympic Stadium. Meanwhile, the stage is set for an electrifying showdown in the 2025 Women's Afrobasket final between Nigeria's senior women's basketball national team, the Tigers, and Mali. Both teams are still undefeated in the tournament and will be gunning for the title this evening inside the Palais des Sports, Trenchville, in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. This final will be the continuation of a decade-long rivalry between the two teams. Since 2011, Nigeria and Mali have faced off 6 times, with each team claiming 3 victories. Mali Les Aigles dominated the early encounters, including a 71-62 semi-final win in 2011 and a 78-45 group phase victory in 2013. However, Nigeria's The Tigers turned the tide in 2017 with a 48-47 semi-final win, marking the beginning of their African dominance. The encounter, Nigeria versus Mali, I understand is at 7 p.m. this evening, as Nigerians were looking for another glorious outing, triumph by our female teams this evening in Côte d'Ivoire, on the back of the victory by the Falcons. Professor Kila, let me start with you.
Well, I think the basketball people, the Tigers, they have an extra reason to want to win now, given what happened to the footballers. I mean, I can imagine them, giving whatever it takes on that field, rightfully so. Hopefully they will get equal to what the Falcons got if they win, which is a good thing. There's been some conversations in the street and in the cyberspace about comparing what the Eagles champions won and what other people earn. I think most people having that argument did not pay attention in their O-level economics class, because there was a session in which people were taught how wages are shaped in a society. And I will advise people to go and reread their book to understand how wages are shaped and stop the protests they are having. What will be good in terms of advanced management will be for the presidency and the governors that have spent so much money on these people to find a way to capitalize on that victory and to say what we've given them is an investment that will lead to more things. They need to go and think how these people can become mentors, how the brand of the Falcon can yield money back, how it can build something so that what is spent is not just a giveaway, but, as I repeat, a proper investment. We also need to be very careful. If the only recognition possible or the highest is financial, that is a bit risky. We need to be careful of values. I think values should earn more, and the pride of being a winner of the Eagles should earn more. Because if all they earn is money, 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 somebody's going to play for Nigeria one day and sell the match for a higher price. Leadership is about thinking ahead, and I hope our leaders are thinking in that direction. At least I invite them to do so. But, all the very best to the Tigress, and congratulations to the Falcons, OON, all of them now, not Agbabola.
So let me adopt the brilliant submissions of Professor Kila, but to add that Nigeria also should leverage on the brand equity of this victory, like Qatar did with the World Cup hosting. It's a victory that should help us also to develop our sports sector. And I believe those ladies deserve what they got from the government. And some were arguing, why was the president making reference to dollars? It's enculturation too.
He said cash equivalent.
Exactly. I know. I just brought that up. So dollar has become a strong denominator. But congratulations to them. And like Prof said, I hope that the Tigress will focus at the benefits.
I know the government is saving for their own.
And
no, it's not about benefits. they've won, I think, the last four. If they win now,
and bring us the victory.
Consecutive win.
And finally.
And we hope the government is saving for them. Let it not be they win, they now say no more money.
No, there's too much.
There will be money for that. And finally, let leadership also know that you will be appreciated so much if you win in delivering good governance to Nigerians and creating commonwealth for common good. We also give you honor.
Government should learn from the Falcons.
As government expects victory from those who go to represent
us. And the men
us.
like you that don't win. Women are winning.
We also expect victory from the government on behalf of the people.
I'm on top of my game.
Not the Green Eagles.
Absolutely.
But you are a man like the Green Eagles.
It's a winner season, so
since forever,
we expect
since primary
victory.
School. Yeah, thank you very much. Let's take another subject. Well, let's talk about Kemi Badenoch, your sister. In her latest comment about her Nigerian origin, the leader of the UK Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, says she no longer identifies as a Nigerian. Badenoch's comments were made while speaking on a podcast released last Friday with a former member of the UK Parliament and television presenter Giles Rosewood. Badenoch, who is leader of the Tories, said she's only Nigerian through ancestry and stopped identifying as one a long time ago. Kemi Badenoch, born to Nigerian parents, became known for her controversial comments about her Nigerian origin after she was elected the party leader in 2024, where Kemi Badenoch always criticizing Nigeria and abusing us and all of that. This is a girl that went to school in University of Lagos, whose mother was teaching in University of Lagos. But she left Nigeria at the age of 16. Now she's more British than the British and all of that. Well, you once lived in England and taught there. So what's this? Uncle Thomism, anti-Germanism?
Well, amazingly, I have another take on this whole Kemi Badenoch phenomenon. One, I think it's legitimate for her to be whatever she wants to be. I mean, when she was claiming Nigeria, what benefit did it do Nigeria? What damage did it do Nigeria? I don't think it's matter. I think she's unnecessarily obsessed with Nigeria, and I think Nigerians are understandably but unnecessarily obsessed with her. I think there is something of a racist issue in what we are looking at Kemi Badenoch. Because she's black and Nigerian origin, we expect her to be progressive and pro-Africa. She's just a wannabe right-wing politician. Once we imagine her, once we take away the veil of the color and we see her as a right-wing politician, everything will fall into place. She says she's nothing like Nigeria. So what? I mean, a lot of people don't like Nigeria. Even people who are still in Nigeria don't like Nigeria. What's the big deal? I think we're giving her undue attention. I think she's unnecessarily obsessed with Nigeria. I think she has an issue. She wants to be a right-wing politician. So she has to show that she's devoid of any alliance to anything outside king and country in England. And I think it's a double burden for her. I'm not angry with her. I feel sorry for her. I think she's in a bad place to be. I think she's not getting the benefit. I have had occasions sometimes in England to say, I ran for office in England when she was still a little girl. But, those are different circumstances. Everybody has their own story.
So I dug into her sentiments, and she made a very brilliant point that her party, the Conservative Party, has become her family. And that is a UK thing. And so she would rather associate with that and take that as her family than Nigeria. And that even when she was leaving Nigeria, her father made her realize that Nigeria had little to offer her than the UK. So these are all forces influencing her. But I also agree. I agree that she's at liberty to take a decision on her identity. And I pray God sorts her out in that crisis. But for Nigeria, can we also project a brand that can sustain the pride? Because I read the vice president saying she can remove her name and things like that. I also think much attention should not be given to it. But someone said, you can always learn. Is Nigeria in a place where people can rise up? Because even within the country, some people are not happy with Nigeria. So let's focus on those things.
Well, some
and
of
that's
us
the
are
lessons.
happy with Nigeria.
Yeah, I love Nigeria.
We are not going anywhere.
I love Nigeria.
We are here.
And
we
doctor,
will fight it together.
And doctor, you love Pounded Yam now. You love Pounded Yam. Pounded Yam is going on in Okakuku right now. The Okade, the Yam Festival.
Fight for this country.
So we love Nigeria. But for her, she has a choice on what to identify with. So I think the government should just, once in a while, criticism is good. You sit back, profile, then look at what you can do. It's all part of SWOT analysis. Is Nigeria in the best format now? I doubt if it is. So let's work towards it. When majority of people can stand up and proudly associate like we do, because I love Nigeria and I love my.
And I also think she has her own issues, because in that same UK where she's trying to be prime minister, they're importing Burna Boy to sing with the Lioness to the English champions. So everybody has their own story. I think the rest of us should not obsess about Kemi Badenoch.
In that same UK where she is,
yes.
Ashley Prompter was part of the winning squad of the Super Falcons. Exactly. She's proudly Nigerian.
I have taught in one of the best universities in the world in that same UK where she is. So, there's everybody to their own, without having any issue with Nigeria.
You don't want to join them in the UK.
No, I've been there. But I go. How many international citizens?
But you don't have daughters who are saying their father told them that Nigeria has nothing to offer. Because I know you have children.
They are not. My own daughters, they are not. My daughters understand the problem of Nigeria. They find solutions. They embrace it. They deal their life. But it's a personal thing. It's a personal thing.
Okay. After all, Nigeria recognizes dual nationality.
Yes.
Let's take our last subject of the day. Ghana's President John Mahama has assured Nigerians living in this country of their safety, stating that there is no place for xenophobia in Ghana. President Mahama was quoted in a statement issued yesterday by the spokesperson of the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Magnus Eze, who to have also restated the continued commitment of his country to the Economic Community of West African States protocols, especially pertaining to the free movement of persons and goods in the region. The Ghanaian leader made the assurances while receiving President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's special envoy and Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, in the presidential palace in Accra. He asked the special envoy to convey to his Nigerian counterpart that he should not lose sleep over recent protests against Nigerian nationals resident in his country. Mr. Ologun, this is reassuring, I think.
Yeah, great reassurance there. But you see, government assurance is different from practical assurance. So I will advise the Nigerians in Ghana to be sober and vigilant, and of course, conduct themselves in a way that makes them welcome in that community. Understanding that in 1983 or thereabout, we also sent Ghanaians packing from Nigeria. So you need to understand the house style in Ghana and ensure you don't constitute a threat to them, because there are allegations. But at the diplomatic level, I think the president is assuring our president. But beyond that, let Nigerians who are there be of good conduct, and we also appeal to the Ghanaian leader also that develop your community, make opportunities more available to your citizens so that these issues won't prompt, and enforce your laws within the confines of the rule of law. But I believe in symbiotic, collaborative interactions, and I think that will help. But it's a good assurance coming from the president.
Well, I think, it is a good assurance. There's no doubt about it. I feel these are the kind of things that embarrasses me, because anytime one country is assuring the other country that nothing will happen to their citizens, it shows that their citizens are in a bad position, either because they're needy or because they're badly behaved. Nigeria of 1983, the evil that men do lives after them, that expelled Ghanaians, we're reaping that benefit now. Maybe if we are not done there, they'll be looking up to us in every way. But the fact that Nigerians need to be assured shows you that something bad is going on. Maybe we need to remind ourselves that wherever you go, strangers should tread carefully. Where owners of the land can walk anyhow is a good adage that people need to learn.
When you are in Rome, do like the Romans, respect their laws. This has always been the point of Abike Dabiri Irewa, that when you are in another country, try and live within the rule of law. As we bring this program to a close, we call on the Tigresses representing Nigeria today in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, to go there and pounce like the Tigers there and do Nigeria proud. We're expecting another victory today. Teach the Malians basketball. And congratulations to Prince Julius Adelusi Adeluyi, who was 85 yesterday. Live long, sir. Prince Julius Adeluyi, lawyer, pharmacist, statesman.
And
congratulations. And what?
A pilot. And a Vito.
And Rotarian. Congratulations
to
to Prince Julius Adelusi Adeluyi. You've been watching This Day Live, the Sunday talk show, here on Arise News. I'm Ruben Abati. From our entire team here in Lagos, it's bye for now, and thank you very much for watching.